Hey folks, it's me, it's Steph. I am literally stuck in the truck right now, and we are stuck on the side of the road because we have a blowout. So while we wait for our technician, our tire technician, to come take care of our blowout, I'm gonna make some dinner. I'm gonna make a pork loin in our tiny little air fryer. It's a great big pork loin. So I'm gonna show you guys how I do. It's not hard, it's a little strange. So here is our tiny little, I think $39 air fryer that we bought. We really just bought this tiny one because not only are we space challenged in the truck, but we didn't know anything about air fryers, and so we wanted to try out an inexpensive one before we invested in like a really big fancy air fryer. Now we know that they work pretty great, honestly. Pretty easy, pretty great for a space that's small like this or an RV. And they do a variety of things pretty well. Pork loin has been one of them in the past. Little pork steaks, small steaks, potatoes, anything you want crispy, like frozen section food, like taquitos or empanadas or things like that, do pretty dang well in here. I'm also going to attempt some broccoli in here, but as you can see, it's just a little tiny container area, not big at all. Very simple settings on this. There's a temperature gauge and a time gauge. That's it. That's all we got. So I'm going to get out the pork loin and get this party started. All right, you can see this pork loin is rather large for this rather small area. Definitely the biggest one I've done. I normally try to get one that's about half this size, but they just didn't have any small ones. This one is saying it is 2.24 pounds. So this could be a challenge to fit in there. I'm going to definitely have to bend it around and prefer not to try to cut it because I don't think that'll work as well. So it is Asiago and peppercorn seasoned, and hopefully it turns out and we're eating it before our tires repaired or soon thereafter. All right, folks, this is a little big for our tiny air fryer. As you can tell, it's almost protruding out the top, bent in half. I still feel like it's maybe better to do this than to cut it in half. There will obviously have to be some manipulations during the cooking to make sure it gets an even cook. But I, in my wisdom, purchased a meat thermometer recently so that we can make sure we get it cooked all the way. Now, I've got this set to 30 minutes, which is really way more than I need for a pork loin normally, but this automatically turns off if you let it run out of time. So, and I know I'm going to have to manipulate it a few times during the cooking time, so I just kind of keep an eye on it and do what I need to do, make sure it still has time on it so it doesn't turn off. And luckily we're not moving down the road right now, so I can just kind of keep an eye on it. But it did fit. We shall see how it works out. All right, so it's in there. It's going to be a little bit before I mess around with it because I got to get a few minutes in, but I did preheat it. I don't always preheat the air fryer because it's so fast you don't really, it says preheat it, but a lot of times you don't really need to. And so it already smells good. That Asiago peppercorn smell is delicious smelling. So it might be a little bit of a bear to deal with, getting it in there and then moving it around and making sure it's cooked and all that. But I have faith. So far, I have not failed the Hippie with cooking meat in the air fryer, which is surprising because he does have discerning taste. Maybe you would even call it distinguished. And if you wonder why it's disco lighty in here, it's because, you know, this is the Hippie's truck. It's got to be disco lighty everywhere he goes. All right, folks, sneak peek at about 10 minutes in. Look at that. That is already looking pretty amazing. I think I'm going to flip it, and I'm not going to let you guys watch that because I have no idea how I would do both things at once, but Hippie could try. The inside temp real quick just to see where we're kind of at. Hopefully this thing works because I have not used it yet. Ow! This is hot. This is very, very hot. Ow! Ow! Okay, too hot. Alright. Safer location, less burninating. I suspect it's still cold inside and it's just getting very done on the outside. And I'm going to attempt to turn this thing. And goodness sakes, this is not easy. It's stuck, kind of. It's heavy. I'm just going to turn it in there just because I don't know if there is a side that cooks better or not yet. And I'm going to go back in for a few before I try to flip it. All right, put a few more minutes on so I don't have to keep too much track of it. Flip this over is, like I said, heavy and rather large, as you might be able to tell. But it does have this nice circular size now to it, or shape. Ah, it's heavy. All right, let's try to get this side done. Bet you can almost taste that. All right, it's in again. It's in again. For those of you who have been missing on Kitty, or as you know her as Cat, here she is, lounging away on the bed. We have Pooper and Peter. Peter is checking on what's going on out there because our tire technician is here. And that means I better check the temperature and see where we're at with this pork loin. All right, folks, I'm trying to do this one-handed here. So getting some new crisp on the top, the bottom top. All right, I have got this back in here to see where the heat is, where the temp is going, because now that our tire tech is here, I mean, it does take a while to switch out one of these huge tires on this 18-wheeler here, but we still will be leaving semi soon. So let's see how hot this baby is getting inside. It's slowly creeping, but it seems to be stuck right around 130, so we've still got a ways to go before that internal temperature gets up to where I want it to be, around 170. So back in she goes. All right, that's looking pretty awesome. But let's see if we can get a good temperature read on it. You want to, of course, try to stick this kind of in the middle where the thickest part of the meat is. Make sure it's safe to eat. Interesting fact, I have read recently that they say that pork doesn't have to be cooked quite as thoroughly as we used to believe, where it was like you had to just cook it to death, you know. It's they say it's safer than we originally thought. And look, we are coming right up on 170 degrees, so it is edible. Now I just got to cook us some broccoli and we're going to be eating like Diane Keaton. I'm going to pull this out so we can cook the broccoli and set it to rest. And this does scare me a little because it is heavy. Look at that delicious crust on there. I did sneak a tiny taste of the fat right there, crust, and oh, it was good. So we're going to set it over here to rest on our cutting board. Got a knife over there. And even though there's a little grease in there, we're going to use that for our broccoli. Got a little bag of frozen broccolis. I'm going to pour those right in. We've got a little chunk left of this delicious Kerrygold herb butter. We have other butter, but I might use it. I might not. On a truck, we have a lot of handy sized things, such as these little butters obtained from somewhere we ate, and little tiny salt and pepper packets, because hey, sometimes you gotta cook but you don't have a lot of shelves to store this kind of stuff. So here we go. I'm gonna throw some other butters on here because it's butter, and you can't, as Paula Deen says, I think she says you can't have too much butter. In my book, you can't have too much pepper. I love pepper, but you can't have too much salt. All right, that's my professional way of stirring. And we're gonna slip it in here. Get it going. It should just take a couple of minutes. It's broccoli. Oh. That looks pretty good. Broccoli's almost done. And one more tiny slice for the puppies. All right, you can see that some of these florets are getting a little crunchy on the edges, which means they're probably delicious, buttery, peppery, gonna be good. Let's get this served up, and me and the hippie can chow down and get on down the road. All right, folks, finished product in disco lights. Some crispy broccoli, delicious Asiago peppercorn pork loin for me and the hippie, and even a little bit for the puppies. And look at how much is left over. So we are gonna eat. Let's see if we can get a happy hippie face in this video. All right, is it hippie approved? Is it as good as McDonald's? All right, it's hippie approved, you guys. Don't watch him eat. All right, there you have it. Definitely not the most convenient kitchen, but it works. We can make it work. If I can make it work in here, I can definitely make it work in an RV. I don't know about my hair. I don't know if I can make that work anywhere, but I can make it work with just one simple appliance. Well, and a refrigerator, but one simple appliance, a whole meal. So Hippie says it's good enough to eat. He hasn't thrown away anything just yet. I've got my eye on him though. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching another one of my silly videos. I appreciate you. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that little bell button if you actually want to see more of this kind of nonsense, especially with the disco light action. At least for a few more weeks, and then probably less disco lights, but probably more cooking. Thanks again, folks.